Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I'm your host, the Game Changer, Wes Truth. And this week I'm going to be taking a look at 5 different movies, 3 brand new to theaters, and 2 that are recently released on DVD. This week I'm going to look at the Age of Adaline, Ex Machina, Little Boy, and the DVD releases are going to be The Babadook and A Most Violent Year. So let's kick this week off with my review of the newest Blake Lively film. You know I was down for that film because you know I'd like to travel into her pants. My review of The Age of Adaline, coming up now. After a freak car accident, a young woman named Adaline is given the chance, or curse depending how you look at it, to never age a day in her life again. After quite a few years, people she meets begin to raise questions, causing her to flee and change her name. In fact, every 10 years she moves and tweaks her appearance. In present time, she meets a young man at a party and becomes interested in him. Will she let him in, or just flee again? So what did I think of Age of Adaline? I thought it's a sweet romantic drama. As strange as the premise may be, I soon felt myself buy into the tale and stopped questioning the physics. I think I might have changed a few things here or there if I had control. The story takes place mostly in 2015 and visits the past through flashbacks. I would have liked to have seen a little more of her quote-unquote younger years. While viewing, you'll probably be able to guess how it all ends. I know I did, but it fits well. There's also an annoying narration that tells us backstories that just sort of randomly shows up when it wants to. With that said, I felt the plot to be interesting, and the love story isn't too sickening. Blake Lively charms as Adeline Bowman, the woman who's 108 years old, but hasn't aged a day since she was 29. Lively has an elegance to her and really makes her seem like she's an old soul in a gorgeous body. The rest of the cast includes Michael Huisman as Alice Jones, a historical preservationalist who feels an instant connection to Adeline, whom he knows as Jenny, and feels his life wouldn't be the same without her. Harrison Ford as William, Alice's father, who's an astronomer and knew Adeline many years prior. Kathy Baker as Kathy, William's wife, who feels she's playing second fiddle as her husband reminisces about the days with Adeline. And Ellen Burstyn as Fleming, Adeline's daughter who's thinking about moving to a retirement community. Age of Adaline isn't without a few faults, but luckily it's a film that doesn't get old too fast. I'm going to give it the rating of do it. Yeah, it's a cute little movie. It's interesting. It's one of the better romantic movies out there. It's a little more serious than The Longest Ride, if you're looking for a good date night movie. This is one of Blake Lively's first actual star vehicles, and this is, I thought she did a really good job here. Alright, this next movie was brought into wide release this week. It had been playing limited release the last few weeks, but finally opened up nationwide. And this is my review of the new sci-fi film, Ex Machina. A young computer programmer wins a lottery to spend the week at the CEO's compound in the mountains. Once he gets there, he finds out he'll be participating in a Turing test, an experiment dealing with an AI. If after a week of communication the programmer feels the artificial intelligence is more human than machine, the test will be a success. After meeting the AI, she warns the young man that all is not as it seems, and not to trust his boss. So what did I think of Ex Machina? I thought it's a strange and creative sci-fi drama. The film takes its time giving us a slow build. The first half really questions morality and the pros and cons of trying to play God. We also get to know the characters more in depth and realize there's more under the surface to each person we meet. The pace picks up in the final half as we're given a couple wild twists. There's also a pretty funny dance routine done by the boss and his maid, which seem random but certainly breaks the tension. Oscar Isaac stars as Nathan Bateman, the CEO of Blue Book, the world's most used search engine, who's been experimenting with creative artificial intelligence. Isaac does great work here and adds more to his already impressive resume. Domhnall Gleeson plays Caleb Smith, the naive computer programmer who starts to fall for the AI robot. Alicia Vikander as Ava, the humanoid who takes a liking to Caleb and hopes he can rescue her from the compound. And Sonoya Mizuno as Kyoko, Nathan's personal assistant who doesn't speak any English. Ex Machina takes a bit to get going, but once the credits roll, you know you've experienced something certainly memorable. I'm going to give it the rating of do it. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie here. Like I said, there's a lot of talking in the beginning, a lot of setup, but once it hits that middle section, it's worth sitting through for that. And also out this week, I guess you could say this is a somewhat religious type movie, and it's got the most thing I remember from the previews is Kevin James with his Paul Blart mustache saying, "I'm gonna call you little boy." And I'm just like, what is this? But here's my review of Little Boy. After a father is sent off to fight in World War II, his young son tries to do anything to have his father come back home alive. After attending a magic show where the magician has the little boy perform the trick of moving a bottle, he feels he can use the power to bring his dad home. A priest gives the boy a list of trials to complete to make his faith more powerful. Will it work? Does the boy really have magic? Maybe. So what did I think of Little Boy? I thought it's a sappy, faith-based drama. Now, there were a few ideas here that I liked. The relationship between the father and the boy was charming, as is the friendship between the boy and the elderly Japanese man, who's first looked on as the enemy. There are some life lessons brought into play, as having tolerance and the cons of racism. This would have been fine, except for the fact that it's really hard to take this film seriously. Everything is served up with an extra helping of cheese. The music seemed out of place at a few parts. There will be a serious conversation between the boy and the pastor, and the background music sounds more like two cat burglars tiptoeing on a heist. When the boy's old friend tells him an ancient Japanese tale, we're transported back as actors portray the characters in hokey fashion. The boy's powers happen to coincide with an earthquake, and even an atomic bomb. Some characters think he was the one who bombed Hiroshima. Meep moop. Possibly the biggest problem I had, though, was that there's less than a handful of likable characters. The men are all tough men's man. He's a man, such a man. The women are all busybodies, and the other kids seem like they popped off the set of Children of the Corn. The cast stars Jacob Salvetti as Pepper Flint, the little boy who wants to complete a list in order for his father to return home, Emily Watson as Emma, Pepper's mother, Kari Hiroyuki Tagama as Hashimoto, the Japanese man who is hated by most of the town who Pepper befriends, David Henry as London, Pepper's brother who commits a few crimes toward Hashimoto, Michael Rappaport as James, Pepper's dad and best friend who becomes a prisoner of war, Tom Wilkinson as Father Oliver, the priest who gives Pepper the list of good deeds to complete, and Kevin James as Dr. Fox, Pepper's physician who is very interested in the boy's mother. I'm gonna call you my next wife. Well, it means, well, Little Boy comes off as too sentimental and heavy-handed. I'm gonna give it the rating of meh. Like I said, I did enjoy some of this, but the negatives very well weigh out the positives here. Alright, now on to the films that have been released recently on DVD and Blu-ray that I finally just got a chance to watch. This film just started streaming on Netflix this past week, and it has been a big hit amongst the critics community. A lot of people had it in their 2014 Best of the Year lists and whatnot, so I'm gonna take a look at a movie that everyone's been raving about. My review of the Babadook. A young boy is having trouble sleeping at night because of a supposed monster that comes into his room. His mother waves it off as kids being kids. However, when a horrifying book called Mr. Babadook pops up, she begins to question if the monster truly does exist. So what did I think of the Babadook? I thought it's a pleasing horror film. I have heard about this film through the grapevine from people raving about it. While I did enjoy it, I wouldn't say I'm as crazy for the film as some are. We see the usual monster movie elements, with the boy talking to air and scaring his mother's friends, blaming the bad things occurring on the Babs, and the characters becoming miserable due to lack of sleep. The audience begins to wonder if this is all in the characters' heads, or if it's actually something supernatural going down. As the book reappears with more violent additions to it, a phone call from a grudgish voice, Babadook, is received, and visions of the creep are seen, you may start to change your point of view. While I know he's terrified, the kid screaming every few minutes became quickly annoying and was like nails on a chalkboard to me. I also thought the Babadook's figure himself was a bit cheesy and reminded me of a Nightmare Before Christmas character. The ending surprised me as well, as I felt it's more than a little bit eye-roll inducing. The cast stars Essie Davis as Amelia Vanek, a widowed mother having problems with her child but soon believes what he's seeing is real. Noah Wiseman as Samuel, Amelia's son, who starts rigging the house and creating weapons to protect himself from the creature. Haley Michelini as Claire, Amelia's sister worried about Sam's well-being. Barbara West as Mrs. Roach, the neighbor next door. And Tim Purcell as the Babadook himself. While I personally didn't think it lives up to all of its praise, the Babadook is certainly an interesting and entertaining watch. I'm going to give it the rating of do it. Maybe I was expecting too much from hearing all the big things about this movie. I mean, this was on a lot of critics' best of 2014 list. This wouldn't even crack my top 50, I don't think. I don't know, it just felt like a normal horror movie. Maybe if I hadn't heard all this hype, I would have liked it more, but I don't know. I don't understand how some of, like, the biggest names in Hollywood, critics, thought this was like the scariest movie since The Exorcist, because it's not really that scary. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it, but The Babadook I thought was good, but not great. Alright, and finally, another favorite of the critics that has been talked about recently has come to DVD. Let's see if I agree. This is my review of A Most Violent Year. The owner of an up-and-coming oil company has to deal with a number of his trucks being hijacked by unknown forces in 1981 New York City. He has to decide what to do about the situation as everyone pushes different ideas on him. So what did I think of A Most Violent Year? I thought it's a most bland crime drama. I had heard many good things about this film as it became a critical darling. However, I found it to be overrated. Do we see a pattern here with our last movie? The title is a bit misleading, as violence sure is talked about, but there's not much physically in the film. If you're expecting a bloodbath of savagery, you may want to think twice. The only real excitement is a character with a gun chasing down a man in the street toward the middle of the movie, and someone chasing a different man down in the street toward the end. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be super exciting, but almost everything here is so drab and depressing. The pacing is a big issue as well, as it moves about as slow as molasses. The last 20 minutes does get somewhat better, but it's not worth the wait. I did enjoy seeing the main character try to stay away from turning to violence to finally reaching his breaking point. What saves the film is its cast, who deliver some great performances. We're going to talk about him again. Oscar Isaac stars as Abel Morales, the owner of Standard Oil, who has to take out some big business loans from his competition in order to protect his business and family. One of my favorite actresses today, Jessica Chastain, plays Anna, Abel's wife, who urges him to fight violence with violence. David Oyelowo as Lawrence, the assistant district attorney investigating the company for corruption, and Albert Brooks as Andrew Walsh, Abel's attorney. A Most Violent Year will surely please some, but was an experience I couldn't get into from the beginning. I'm going to give it the rating of meh. You know, it's okay. This is one of those movies I expected to like. I popped it in the DVD player, and I'm like, all right, 10 minutes later, okay, I'll give it another 10 minutes, and 10 minutes later, nothing. It's just one of those that was really hard to get into. You have to really be in the right mood for this movie. And I'm a big fan of Oscar Isaac. I think he's a great up-and-coming actor. I love Jessica Chastain. As I said before, she's one of my favorites right now. But, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. During the week, peeps, make sure you tune back in to look for my summer movie preview. I'm going to do a special video, the A-List Summer Movie Preview. If you're looking forward to the summer movies, make sure to tune in for that. I'm going to give you a rundown of all the movies coming out this summer. And coming for next week's show is going to be a big one. Summer movie season begins with my review of The Avengers, The Age of Ultron, amongst whatever else I feel like reviewing that week. Alright, until next time, don't forget to subscribe to me right here on YouTube. youtube.com/westside515. You can like me on Facebook, facebook.com/WestTroopAlist. Follow me on the Twitter and Instagram @WestAlist. And of course, you can buy this little darling, the A-List Review 2014 Movie Yearbook. Only $10, over 150 reviews. That's a pretty good deal. It's pretty good, right? Contact me through Facebook or Twitter if you're interested. Until next time, Age of Ultron, Troop, out.